Okay, so we had a faulty start and we're going to start again. This is Lou and Deal Do podcast number 5. So this is our sober-dober version of the podcast. And the reason that we're doing it sober is because we come from a Catholic background and we are in the middle of Lent. Or we've just started Lent, haven't we?
Yeah, we just started Lent, so we're not even in the middle, so which is a bit of a shame, but we are at the start.
And for those of you that don't understand what Lent is and what the point is, don't ask us. All we can say is that we are Catholic and therefore we like to feel guilty about everything, about our sins, about what we might sin.
Don't listen to him, everyone. That's all rubbish.
And so we like to make sacrifices as well. And we even dedicate a whole portion of the year to doing that. And that is called Lent, and that is what we are doing. So we're giving up alcohol and many other things because that is sinful.
So that Icelandic vodka that I bought basically is going to go to waste, or we're going to have to wait until after Lent to actually dig into it. Is that right?
Exactly, that is precisely what is going to happen. And we're not just going to dig into it, we're going to absolutely destroy it. Because what you don't know about Lent is that when it finishes, there is an absolute party, and that party is called Easter. We're not going to go into that, but what we are going to go into is something very strange. And I think you can hear lots of different noises in the background, and the reason you can hear these noises is because my father, Dee, is cooking. And the reason we are recording it whilst he is cooking is because there is no time to do anything else today. So we've decided to do the podcast whilst Dad is preparing our Sunday lunch. So what are you doing at the moment?
Well, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm chopping up that reindeer bone that I bought because I'm making that stock out of that damned reindeer. Because we were going to do an Icelandic themed menu today.
Well, let's explain where we got that reindeer from. So what happened was, people don't know this, but during this COVID pandemic, the only flights that they kept available were the ones to Iceland. And so we decided to, it was a bit of potluck. Yeah, we just decided to pop across to visit our auntie. Auntie who?
Inga.
Auntie Inga. Her second name is actually Medulla.
Clues are getting up now, guys.
The clues
are getting there.
And yeah, she hasn't got a J in her name, but she should do. And so anyway, so Dad is now making sound for no reason whatsoever, but he has.
Mixing on the bones with all the ingredients. Just, actually,
what other
podcast? It's a music podcast.
What other ingredients have you got in there with the reindeer bones?
Oh well, what I've done is I've got some rosemary, I've got some thyme, I've got some red onion, I've got lots of garlic. And
that is thyme in the conceptual sense. We don't actually own spices. Anyway, so there we go. That's the sound, and you'll find that there are lots of imperfections that are left in the album by Bjork, Medulla, and they are left in on purpose. So producers like to painstakingly get rid of imperfections in music because you might hear something in the voice that that might not sound good, like a small crack or something. What Bjork was doing in the album which we're going to review today, which is Medulla, which is 2005, I believe.
2005, 2006?
One of the two. She asked the producers essentially to keep all of that stuff in. And that is what we're doing. We're keeping everything in. I'm not going to edit any of this out because it's not because I can't be bothered, because I. You
obviously can.
Obviously I can.
Because you've got so much time on your hands that you can actually do that.
Yeah. But I'm doing this this is intentional.
Yes.
This is intentional.
Good.
Okay, so do you want to do a small introduction to this album, or should I?
Well, I'd like to put my points forward because I'm actually going to go into the other room now and grab myself some cabbage. But this album.
Well, okay, hold on. You just go get your cabbage, and I'm just gonna introduce it slightly, and then you can come in with your points and get your cabbage.
Well, okay, you're
Am I stealing your
Calling me
thunder?
out here. Well, no, because I think
Right.
the listener would be interested.
Okay,
But
fine.
I mean-
I'll pass the time somehow. You go get the cabbage.
I'm going to get the cabbage.
You go and get the cabbage.
I will.
All right, listener. So,
Don't say anything gets behind my back.
okay. So Dad just forgot how to speak for a second, just like me. So I'm on my own now, and this is much more boring. So I'm going to describe the scene to you. What have we got here? We have some frozen chicken, which is Icelandic fried. We have some onion skins. That's a bit disgusting. Yeah. Are you back now? Have you got your cabbage?
No, I'm actually missing some damned ingredients.
Oh, God. Okay, well, I'm going to do the introduction for this then.
Do the introduction.
Stop making sound.
Sorry, mate, but this is the kitchen sounds, isn't it? We're in a kitchen vibe at the moment. This is kitchen sounds.
Kitchen vibe. Okay, so Bjork, Medulla. This album is groundbreaking in its own way, in its kind of left field way, as it always is with Bjork. It really focuses on the human voice, on human nature. And themes running through it include maternity, breastfeeding, sex, nudity, intimacy, the senses, all that good stuff. And I must say now, the album, when you listen to it, the music, when you listen to it, really feels more like an environment rather than a song. There isn't very much conventional pop structure to it, and the way that it's recorded as well really makes you feel like you're in the room, makes you feel like you're one of the musicians. It's very intimate. And it's very crazy, because she is batshit crazy, in a really good way. A really good way.
Yeah. She reminds me very much of someone like Billie Eilish, or even what's her name?
In what way does she remind you of Billie Eilish?
In the weird vocals. I say weird vocals. They're not, because they're actually beautiful. I actually think that she is such a great singer. She's got wonderful control and real great character.
See, I would say that her vocals are totally the opposite of Billie Eilish, because she likes to, because Billie Eilish is very, very contained. It's like, that is like, I feel like there's a cap on her voice that she never really overrides, whereas with Bjork you do get a lot of balls out singing.
You do. That's true. The other one,
but we're entitled to our own opinions.
The other one I wanted to compare her to was what's the artist that wears the meat clothes? What's her name again? Lady Gaga. That's right. Yeah, in the way that she's multi-instrumentalist, and she's very avant-garde, brings fashion and brings sort of the narrative of what's going on around her into her music and into her fashion sense and that kind of stuff. Whereas Bjork, I feel, she, as well as being like almost like a performance artist, because she the way she dresses, her outlook on the world, how she sees things, and how she doesn't kind of she's not always in your face with her ideas and her values, but she's always there as a creative force. I mean, I've known about Bjork for years. I've never sat down and listened to her apart from one of the singles that made the charts. I can't remember. I'm not going to sing it now, but I think if we heard it on the radio, we'd all remember what that particular song is. It's not on this album, because
It's Oh So Quiet.
That's it, bravo. And it was, again, as Louis said, batshit crazy, but it was really good. And seeing her through that time when she had that success, she could have gone really mainstream, or she could have always been in the public eye, but she didn't. She went back and she stayed true to her roots, and she did exactly what she wanted to do. And this album is very much like that.
We have a visitor, everyone.
Guest.
M. We need a chat. Okay. You're usually on time for things. You are, as Dad said, 2 weeks late. Can you explain yourself?
I was busy that day.
She was busy that way. I don't know if you heard that, listener. She was busy that day. What are your opinions on Maluma, Mum?
I
Yeah?
don't even know what it is, Louis. Is this
It was the reggaeton thing that you listened to.
It was all right.
Good. It was all right. See, and for the listener who was waiting for Mum's recommendation, there it is. You can quote it. It was all right. Okay, so yeah, responding to some of the things that Dad was saying, comparing Bjork to Lady Gaga, I think that's an interesting point you made about fashion. I watched her at the Tokyo Olympics on YouTube. Obviously, I wasn't there. Singing Oceania, or whatever. And she apparently had a 30,000 square foot dress on, and that's more like a, what is that? That is like an ocean, isn't it?
Ocean of fabric.
And I think in that song she is the ocean,
Yeah.
or she's some sort of earthly, terrestrial. She's not like a living being. She's definitely something that's bigger than just a human. Yeah, she's definitely an observer in this as well. A lot of what she says, especially that song Ocean, if you listen to the lyrics, it is quite observant from that point of view.
But the background of this album, Lou, if we told the listeners about the background of this album, that she wanted to make it a totally a cappella album.
Well, I've mentioned the fact that it focuses on the human voice, but it is essentially, yes, an a cappella album, apart from one song which begins with a piano, and I cannot remember. I think it might be I think it's Ancestors, but I'll probably wrong. But Ancestors, we can talk about that first if you'd like. But
even some of the voices that even some of the instrumentation that she uses is voice based. They're like voice samples that have been put through a sampler. So in fact, got to delve into the album really deep, and if someone really wants to get researchy and geeky about it, you can break down each track to see if all of the songs have actually been played using the human voice.
So almost all of them have, but near the end of the album, I can tell you that there were definitely synths in there and some keyboards.
That's what I thought,
So it's not all voice,
but
it is essentially an a cappella album. And for me, that really attracts me to it because I'm a singer and I love hearing the human voice used as not just the main part, the main character, but also as part of the background.
Yeah. Do you think that she stretches her voice? Does that interest you, the way that she stretches her voice into different areas within the one song? It's not only just following a melody. It's not only just following the,
Well, I'll admit that her melodious, like the bit when she sings a melody, is always quite similar. You can tell it's a Bjork melody, but what she then does around that is she really is pushing her. Yeah, she's definitely pushing. Well, she's pushing her voice, but in a good way, not in a way that's being strained or anything. She's using her voice as an instrument. It's like extended techniques, but for a voice.
Yeah.
You've got some weird sort of guttural sounds in there.
There's an Inuit singer.
She's not Inuit. I think I've got her name down. I've got her name down from the first song. She's a throat singer, and she's called Tanya Gillis. Yeah. And from what she might be Inuit. She might be from Canada though. I think she's Canadian.
Yeah. But there's also the rock singer Mike Patton from Faith No More, the band Faith No More. There's also Robert Wyatt from Soft Cell, who's sort of like the grandfather of the singing voice. He appears on this album, as does a few kind of rap artists, which I'm sorry, but I couldn't quite remember their names. But they all collaborate on this. So it's she has drawn in people from different genres.
It's not like a solo effort. She's not kind of the reclusive that does everything on her own and then only performs it with other. I mean, she definitely is a collaborator.
Although this album was never toured, apparently, because it was too difficult to perform,
to recreate.
Well, to recreate live. I mean, she did videos, of course, and I think she played excerpts of it, or she used studio techniques to play on interview shows, you know, when she was being interviewed, but taking excerpts from the album. But it was never toured, this album, because it was quite difficult. And when you delve into it and you listen to it, you can understand how it is, because it's not your regular. It's.
I would say something about the first song, which is "The Pleasure Is All Mine." We can listen to it, but I just wanted to mention about how it was difficult to recreate.
Yeah.
Interestingly, there aren't as many like effects as I thought. So on a article I read about it, on this song, a lot of the echoes and stuff are actually done by her. She just does it herself when she sings it.
She
So
overlays her voice.
she sort of does all of that production herself. And that was in a sense quite groundbreaking, because you'd usually just get the producer to get that done. And another thing, I think we should play Submarine, because in Submarine, what they do is they do a sort of echo, but they do it between different people. So they've got different male singers in there, and one of them might say something, and then the next one might say it like as an echo. And I think it was really, really good, because it was like a different shade of the same phrase, because it's sung by someone different. So I like that. So let's listen to "Pleasure Is All Mine." Should we listen to the first?
That's the one that's a little bit naughty, isn't it? That's the one that's got the kind of what we said. We actually did.
No, well, there's one that actually sounds like there is a climax, there's like orgasms involved. That's Ancestors, and I have a little theory about that, which we'll get onto. But "Pleasure Is All Mine," I don't know, it's sensual, that's for sure.
Okay.
There's different ways of listening to it. There's a way of trying to listen to it as if it's trying to replicate someone having sex.
Yeah.
There's also a way of listening to it just as different sounds that the voice can make.
Yeah.
And both of them are enjoyable to listen to. But yeah.
I don't actually think
they can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I don't actually think that Bjork would be as simple as actually trying to write a song around the orgasm. I mean, I'm not saying that, because Prince has done it many, many times on a lot of his old.
It could be
albums.
inspired by it.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot more. There is, and I've said in the past, I don't listen to words. It's quite difficult to understand her words because they are very disjointed. But on this song, there's lots of words that tell a story about the. Sorry.
Go on. I was going to say that,
Yeah.
Interestingly, she did say before she released this album that actually a lot of it was about breastfeeding and the mother and child relationship, which is not the same as a sexual relationship, but it is in the same sort of topic, because think something like "Mouth's Cradle" is actually talking about breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And a lot of the sounds
That's another strange song.
It's a strange one. But a lot of the sounds that she's making, it could be someone moaning in sex, but it could also be a baby crying. You don't know what she's doing.
No, yeah,
and she made a few hints before she released the album that there was going to be a lot about the mother-child relationship. And that's why a constant theme running through this album is maternity and motherhood.
And you know what I read also is she was also saying that a lot of this album was inspired about her writing about her early teen years, mid-teen years to late teen years, going into early 20s, memories that she experienced in that time. I hope we also get onto the song where she sings in Norwegian and there's two or three, Icelandic or Norwegian. She sings in her own language.
We are so unprofessional. We are actually so unprofessional.
Mate, no one can understand that unless they're either Norwegian or Icelandic. But To me, it sounds like a prayer. Do you remember that song that was on there?
Yeah.
I will play that later on.
Sounds like monks.
Yeah, there's that.
I'll tell you what. It's exactly. What are you going to say? Go on, say it.
I was going to say Gregorian chant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gregorian chant is plain song, and there's one song actually after Pleasure Is All Mine, Show Me Forgiveness, which sounds like plain song. It sounds like an introit that you'd process into church with, reading from Graduale Romanum.
Yes. We're going ahead of ourselves though. This is amazing.
Let's listen.
While I'm chopping cabbage.
Right, now, call me ignorant.
Louis,
but
you're ignorant.
But that does sound quite suspicious.
Well, there's someone in the background doing something they shouldn't ought to be doing.
Shouldn't
ought to be doing it, but maybe
not in public.
That's it. Not on the third or fourth track of the album. Anyway,
it's this first track. This is what she starts with. Now that's bold.
That's what she goes. Yeah, that is bold. Yeah, to go out. That's crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. And that song's really nice actually because it builds up, and it's not all just about breathing and sort of panting and moaning and all that good stuff. It goes further. Yeah. There is some. You get a choir, some backing singers coming in. I don't know if it's her or if it's other people, but
she's got a London choir, and she also used an Icelandic choir.
But not necessarily for this one, I don't know.
Yes, again, not necessarily. Like I said, the geeks amongst us will be able to look at each album track and break it down to see who played on what, because it was recorded also in multiple locations. From London, it was recorded in I think in some Nordic countries. It was also recorded in mainland Europe as well. So it's multiple locations that she recorded, and she got in different musicians to come in, as we said before, Mike Patton, Rob Wyatt, and so it was a kind of a really thought about album, and everything was done on purpose, I believe. So something like this, to start with this
I don't think what I played was very representative of this song as a whole, and I'm not going to play all of it because that defeats the point. So if you want to listen to it, listen to it. But it builds up. That's a classic door wedge structure. Do you know what I mean? It sort of like gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then she returns back to the
first theme.
The first theme at the beginning. But it's a really nice song, and I just want to play you the bit that I said was plain song, the bit that Dad said was Gregorian chant, which is exactly the same thing, was Show Me Forgiveness.
Show me forgiveness, for having lost faith in myself and let my own.
So that I could imagine someone singing that on the way into church or something, or I can imagine singing that someone in the offertory at mass or something, in one of the stripped down stripped down church services where you don't have a full choir, you don't have harmony, and other chorals singing, you just have plain song. I can imagine a cantor doing that. And there is a bit where we have a mixture of sort of plain song and recitative. Now, I don't know if you remember from something like Bach's Matthew Passion what recitative is, but it's essentially spoken word with...
Someone with a speech impediment, isn't it?
No?
No? Okay. All right, so...
Explain that definition.
Recitative. Sorry, that was a cheap joke. Sorry, carry on.
Cheap joke. We're talking about serious stuff here. So there's a bit that sounds like recitative, and so she is employing a lot of classic vocal techniques, vocal environments. Like a recipe is pretty classic. You see it a lot in classical music and in even in like musical theatre now. That you get forms of recitative, where you're essentially speaking and singing.
Right.
You're singing like you're speaking.
Yeah.
And you're just accompanied by a few chords.
Right.
And to make it sound not like plain song.
Well, for the listener, I mean, that might sound pretty stripped back, and I suppose someone from your background could recognise this instantly. It's a lot more obvious in some other songs on this album where the actual choirs do come in and actually does make it sound like a big orchestral, a big choral piece. There's a couple of songs, and I mentioned it to Louis.
Vocuro, is that the one that you want to mention? The one where you've got the choir?
Yeah. That was the one that was sung in Icelandic or Norwegian or Nordic. Yeah, that's lovely as well. But I also mentioned to you that I got.
She's currently shaving carrots.
Yeah, grating.
Grating
carrots.
Not shaving.
Not shaving, grating carrots.
They're not hairy.
No. Reminiscent of Macmillan. That's what I thought. I thought that some passages in that was very
ominous,
very Macmillan-esque, and very kind of somewhat disjointed. Not necessarily, things didn't follow as you necessarily would think they would follow if you listened to a Bach maybe or Mozart. Things follow certain patterns, but this.
Dad listens to Mozart and Bach a lot.
Oh, I don't. But you told me about all of this stuff. You told me about this.
I also don't listen to it.
No, not anymore. But because you're sick of it.
I was forced to.
Yeah, you were forced to do enough of it. So you thought, bugger, I'm not doing that anymore.
Right, let's hear a bit of Vocuro and see what Dad's talking about.
Vocuro, yeah. Let's hear a good excerpt from that.
Grasið mitt og þitt geymir mold til vors. Hjúfrar lind lengd við brekkurót vakir eins og við. Lífið trútt, kyrrlát kalda vermst, augum djúps út í himinn fyrr starir stillt
To me, that sounds, that just sounds like being in church and hearing the choir.
Doesn't it sound a bit like a Christmas carol?
Well, definitely wintry. I got that vibe straight away, so I don't know what she's singing about, but yes, I get that kind of, that winter vibe. But the way that it's...
Modal as well. Modal music in that sense, which is a very churchy thing. It's
okay.
Yeah.
But the way that the passages, like almost like she sings the psalm or whatever it is, and then she'll just stop. There's a break, and then and it'll come up again, and at the end of that phrase,
it's phrased.
There's
phrases.
Yeah. I don't know. I quite like that, although I don't understand what she's talking about. But that's really, really nice, and it does actually sound like a Christmas song or very wintry. Maybe it's because I just know that she's Icelandic, but I don't know.
No, it definitely is wintry. Yes. It's dark.
Yes.
And stark. Dark and stark, I think, the music. Dark and stark.
Kind of homely, warming. I feel with
the low bass,
yes,
bassy sound.
It just kind of fills it out, and it actually feels. It doesn't feel austere. It actually feels quite whole.
Oh, when I say dark, I don't mean like horror. I just mean
dark
literally
chords.
Dark.
Oh, dark. Oh, yeah. Night time.
Yes, winter.
Oh, winter.
Yeah. I mean, in Iceland, they probably have very, very short days during some seasons, and very, very long days or very long nights, because of where they are, and so that also like the environmental situation there is like that.
Yeah.
But we keep on referencing the fact that she's Icelandic, and actually there is
in London.
no.
There is
there is actually a sense of Icelandic nationalism in here. I mean, someone that is a popular singer that has got largely a Western audience. I'm sure she's got a huge audience in Iceland.
I think she got a number one in Europe for this album. This actually went number one in some country, not in England.
Remember, this is European.
Yeah.
So you're getting people in Italy, in Piacenza, listening to this stuff, and
you reckon so, maybe?
No, and she's got the balls to record songs that are in Icelandic that no one can understand.
Yeah.
So that's nationalistic in my view, and she's really painting that Icelandic picture.
Yeah. I like it.
Why do you think we're having Reindeer this evening?
This lunchtime. Funnily enough, we are doing this podcast very early today, as I said, because we've had a very busy week.
We're usually not up this early.
Yeah, we're not up this early. So we're doing this while having lunch. So we are having reindeer this lunch, southern fried reindeer, just because we couldn't get the Icelandic mix to go with the to marinate the reindeer, so we're having it southern fried, but no reindeers were harmed in the making of this lunch, believe me, everybody. But yeah,
we're just eating them.
But So what else? So what else about Bjork is it that interests you, Louis? What other things have you found on this album that have kind of really floated your boat?
I like it when she does stuff that is conventional and poppy, and then puts her own spin on it.
Well,
and
there is one, isn't there? There is one on there which is quite accessible.
Are we going to go for Who Is It? I think it's Who Is It.
Yeah, there is one which is definitely.
Well, there are two. Even The Pleasure Is All Mine is almost poppy. Not the weird breathing and stuff, but structurally, doing a whole build. I mean, that could be an Arcade Fire song.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah. So I would say, Who Is It? We should listen to.
Okay, Who Is It? Yeah. I mean, because there was one definitely stand out for me, and unfortunately, again, guys, as I mentioned last week, when I listen to these, I'm always doing the ironing, and I don't look at the track listing, so I'm so intent on getting my shirts just right.
Is it not because you can't write?
I can't be bothered to write, maybe. But I did make notes last week, guys. I did, but I didn't this week because I was doing my ironing, and so sorry, guys. That's a poor excuse. But my man here, my wingman, because he writes it down, we are very lucky, and that's great because this may or may not be the track.
I did it this morning.
So it's brilliant.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just need to agree with me because
I will agree with you.
Yeah, no, but if you don't agree with me, then it will look we didn't plan this out.
No. I would never.
I wanted to say that she was doing an interview. I just saw this short clip where she was doing this interview, and they were saying she was saying that I like simple music and I like complex music. I think she just likes music. She could have just said that because she does. Can we do a little ASMR here? Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, I don't know. I don't actually know what it stands for, but it's kind of like satisfying sounds.
Okay, well now the reindeer's gone in. Okay, so we've got 20 minutes of the reindeer.
Okay, so yeah, and she likes simple music, simple conventional poppy music, and she also likes experimental, complex music, and I think she also likes mixing them, but she didn't exactly say that. So yeah, the song that she is most famous for, which is the one that I mentioned before, that is a pop song. In the most conventional sense, there is no Bjorkness in it at all. You can listen to it, apart from the way that she sings.
Well, it is, and that's exactly it. It's the way that she sings it. I mean, if anyone else was to be doing it, I would imagine they could turn it into a conventional pop song. But the way that Bjork handles that song, but then again, the first time I saw it, I didn't actually hear it on the radio. I saw her do it on television, and of course she's as mad as a a March frog. She's
a brilliant performer.
Absolutely, but and she came out, she did this song, and it was so weird because her action, again, as I mentioned before, like that performance art that she puts into this song really did stick out. And it wasn't so much because the song was super, super brilliant, although it grows on you, but it was also her as a personality bringing herself out onto this song. And I think
she's genuine.
She is.
As Lou would say.
Yeah, and this and her, like I say, her voice has got so much character. I know it can be said for lots of singers, but the good singers all have unique voices. Sometimes in the modern pop world, there are some great singers out there. I hear them on the X Factor. You see them on Britain's Got Talent. You see some great voices, but there's nothing really.
You don't hear them, you just hear a good voice.
You hear a great voice, bravo. You don't hear them, you hear a great voice. Whereas with Bjork, you hear her and you hear a very different voice, and the way she uses it is good. So
right, come on, let's listen to it. Who is it?
Who is it? Let's go.
So far, not conventional.
His embrace, a fortress. It fuels me and places a skeleton of trust. Right beneath us, bone by bone, stone by stone. If you ask yourself patiently. Carefully, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? That never let you down. Who is it?
So I think we've found both of our favourite songs. I mean, this one is the best.
It's kind of because it's accessible. I think it's only because it's that little break that we just turned it off just at the. Then when it got into its stride,
then it becomes a pop song.
Yeah. But what I just noticed this as well, because we're listening to that, and it's got what we think is drums, but in fact, if you listen to it, yes, I hope you would. I think there's a lot of beatboxing going on there, and it's actually vocals. And if that is the case, then that is just so clever. I know it's been done before. I know it's not super original. There are people that have been doing things with
Pentatonics.
There's been
Justin Timberlake.
Okay. There's been people that have been doing things with
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect? What's that got to do with it?
Pitch Perfect is literally about a cappella groups. It's got Anna Kendrick, mate.
Yeah, I know. She's hot. But but I understand.
Yeah,
bro. But
Is she gonna be our thumbnail? Anna Kendrick.
Her legs are a little bit bandy.
Oi.
I don't want to diss Anna Kendrick. She's lovely.
Oi.
She's got great comic timing. Love it. Very good. Okay, next. It's not only about a cappella, though, is it? This. It's about using the voice. It's pushing it a little bit further. I mean, a cappella in Pitch Perfect was your archetypal a cappella band.
It was pitch perfect, and that was the point. The music was pitch perfect. This is not Actually, I personally think that Bjork has brilliant pitch, and like she's never really off. Her tuning's really good, but
unless she wants to do it on purpose.
Oh yeah, unless she's doing it on purpose, which you can tell she's doing it on purpose. But there are imperfections in here which are intentional because they don't want to overproduce it. It's about the voice. It's about everything the voice does, not just the nice bits.
Yeah. There's I agree with that.
I just want to talk about that bass though. That bass is so fat though.
Yeah, it is. No. There's another couple of other tracks where they have a nice like fat bass line that goes through it, which really kind of lifts it. It brings it a bit more into the sphere of normality for us, because for me, because it's got a bit of a bass and a drum line. Whereas
that's a dude doing that as well, isn't it?
Yeah. But the other stuff, which is not in my comfort zone, it is actually quite eye-opening, and or ear-opening, shall we say? But it is actually, So
But eye-opening is a good way of describing it, because you do feel like you're transported somewhere and that you're seeing stuff. Desired constellation. I want to talk about desired constellation because I desire constellations when I listen to it constantly. I desire constellations constantly when I listen to this track, because I do see constellations. The music, she paints a picture with that music.
Yeah.
Okay, we might as well listen to this. Here we go.
Well, this is the only patented ingredient that we've actually got here. And this is reindeer giblets, which I'm making into a little...
Which you bought on Amazon.
which I'm making into a little stuffing. So,
Wait, is giblets not giblets?
You joking me?
Wait, is it giblets or giblets?
You better cut this out, this freaking... You cut this out, bro, because I'm not having you thinking it's giblets, all right? It's giblets, Pirla.
I tell you what, so the OG fans will know that I had it on this YouTube channel, which is going to be upgraded. I played this game called Giblets, Santa's in Trouble, right? Which was about a reindeer, and I called it Giblets. So if you can go back to that and have a listen, you get to hear 13-year-old me.
Well, it depends what... If we talk about giblets, it's like the innards of an animal.
That's the one.
That's giblets, that's right.
I called it Giblets.
Okay.
Unless I was right. Unless.
I think so, but you might. Listen, mate. Listen, get people to do an answer on a postcard, please.
Answer on a postcard.
Yeah, P.O. Box, whatever it is.
Okay, I want to talk about Desired Constellation, but it's after Submarine on the album. So I don't know which one should we talk about first. This is about Desired Constellation. Desired Constellation feels like it's going to go somewhere, and it doesn't. It's very static, and I like that. It has this repeating sort of phrase, which basically carries on until the end of the song, and it's real balls out singing actually, and you're knowing it.
Yes, I'm knowing it.
Yeah.
I listened
And
to it. I like it. I mean, it was.
and you've got this kind of intermittent bass like going boom, 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 but not much.
I do like it when people go to the sort of almost to the ends of the range of their voice. Let's say.
Bit of straightening.
Yeah, we were saying this last week when we were talking to.
Apart from when I do it, yeah.
When we were talking, when I introduced Lou, of course, our guest last week, the singer of Kingspin, that I said that I do enjoy when he kind of pushes his voice just to the end. You get that little bit of a crack at the end. Now, on the song that you're going to play now, there is a bit of that, and I like that in her voice because it just shows that she can push it over to the edge, and it's nice because it's a little bit rocky, if you ask me. It's not always kind of perfect. So yeah.
Should we listen to it?
Please. Yeah, let's listen to it while I'm squirting mayonnaise over my coleslaw.
Have I gone to make it right? Have I gone to make it right? Didn't you hear? How am I gone to make it right? How am I gone to make it right?
And it kind of goes on a bit like that.
No. She started cracking.
Yeah, what
Go to the end. She's going to go at the end.
She was already cracking. She was already.
She's going to go even more cracking. Oh, I like the cracky bit.
Well, listen.
Listen.
You got to listen to it. It's not our job to listen to it for you.
We've listened to it 6 times already.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that sounds, just to make a light joke out of it, it sounds like what she's done is she's looked at the vocal amp and she's been like, oh, look at all these different effects I can do. And she's just recorded her voice, the same phrase, because she can't be bothered to do another one. And she's just done like, oh, sounding like you're speaking through a telephone. Cool. Sounding like you're speaking through a drain pipe. cool, and just records them and then just puts them all on the same track, and the producers be like, dope, man, that's dope.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more contrived than that. She's, I think she, yeah. I mean, obviously you put it quite simplistically, but she's very.
Thanks.
When she comes with her voice, she obviously knows what she's doing. I think experimentation, yeah, but if it works, yeah, she's going to go for it. And I think she does a lot of work. She doesn't just knock it out just like that. But yes, it does. It has a bit of that vibe. But yeah, she knows exactly what she's doing, which is what I like about her. Totally in control.
Very nice. Doesn't that mayonnaise look like noodles?
It does. The way I have put that on that coleslaw looks like noodles, Lou. You're absolutely correct.
Thank you.
If only the listener could see.
See through your ears, listener. See through
Reindeer with some red cabbage slaw with what looks like noodles on the top, which is actually squirty mayonnaise and a bit of lime juice. If you want
made from reindeer eggs.
If you want the recipes for any lunches that we've done now or in the future,
Send us a
postcard to the PO address, and I will send you the full recipe cards, and also send us your booze that's left over. Not after Lent, of course, because we're not drinking now. So thank you.
Right, so I wanted to mention Submarine. Submarine's a cool one because you can definitely tell that this one's got guest singers on it. And they're all guys, I think, the guest singers.
Yeah, I think they are, apart from the Inuit throat singer.
On Submarine, though, is she on that one? I don't think she is. I don't know if she is.
No, I don't think she is.
Okay. I just hear sea creatures, and there's a guy who does one recording, one bit of the one phrase where he's like, boop, 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 which sounds like sonar. I think it's quite funny.
Yeah.
It sounds like the Submarine.
Yeah, I think this album's appreciated with headphones. So
Get your headphones on.
get your headphones on, some really good quality headphones, because there's lots going on in the background, which I probably miss while ironing, but definitely there's stuff that should be listened to. So let's listen to Submarine, Lou. Flick the switch, bruv.
Did you hear the bloop, 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 bloop?
There was a bloop 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 in the background. There's lots of there was a little
So much breathing.
Yeah, there was a little hushy breathing sound. yeah. And a wonderful layer of different tonalities of different voices, male, female voices, but also playing in slightly off chords.
It's a real celebration of the variation between human voices.
And fucked up chords and notes that you can just whack them in there and hope for the best. But it's not like that, of course. It's all been done properly, I would imagine. But yeah, and it does, and like you said in your introduction, it's a soundscape, isn't it? Yeah. It very much is a soundscape that can conjure up whatever in your mind if you close your eyes. This is not like the reggaeton album where you get your cocktail, sit by the pool, and it could be going on in the background, or even the ZZ Top album that we reviewed. MF Doom, I suppose, is something that as you're walking down the street, you can have that. But this, you definitely need to sit down, put your headphones on, look outside.
Focus as well.
Yeah, and focus, but just immerse yourself in the whole thing. I think this is what you want, and try and get into the moment of when Bjork was writing this sort of stuff. I think.
And enjoy it, I suppose, because it is enjoyable hearing all these weird sounds.
Yeah, it's a difficult listen. It's not going to be for everyone, and
I've just got strange taste. That's why I would advise it to someone. But yeah.
But then again, this is not my go-to stuff, but I would advise someone to listen to it as well if they want to hear something new and different. But this is an established artist after all. I mean, now Bjork is she is an established artist. But she's given herself the freedom to be able to do what she wants to do, when she wants to do it. That's what I see from her. She's not always having to release albums just because. I assume that her record company says so, or because she's following a trend or a fashion. She releases it when she's got something to say, and she probably has a lot to say because those kind of artists that have this output of material always have something to say, and it's not defined by the current situation or past situations. They can literally pick out anything and give everything validity, which that's what Bjork's about. So, like I say, it's not my go-to listen, but I would advise people, if you're listening, you want to listen to something new, then as a starting point, this album. But her other albums, I suppose, are going to be more accessible.
They're cool. No, I wouldn't say they're more accessible. They're all a bit strange.
Yeah, but with instrumentations, maybe to give you that kind of
less focus on the voice.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a vocalist, listen to this.
Yeah.
I would advise it. Listen.
Yes.
We are 50 minutes through.
You're joking. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay.
We look. There's so much more. We haven't even spoken about Oceana. Sonnets and Unrealities, that's beautiful. Ancestors, which has weird sex going on. Okay, I want to Mouth Cradle. I want to talk about Ancestors for a second. We don't have to play it. That's for the listener to listen to.
Okay.
But Ancestors, I have a theory about that. I think that Ancestors. So there's a lot of like moaning, orgasming, sexy sounds in there.
Sexy sounds.
Yeah, they're not sexy, but they sound like sex. Right? And I have a theory that Ancestors is about making babies.
Right.
And also about having babies.
Right.
So the sex bit is the making babies, right? But then a lot
What are we talking about?
So the sound is the sound of like the
I'm kidding, listener.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Okay. And then all the kind of the weird wailing stuff is actually the sound of the baby that's been made, right?
Right.
And if we're talking about Ancestors, this is like her looking back at all of the
lineage,
all of the making babies, having babies, making babies, having babies,
Okay.
until it comes to her, because it goes in like, I don't know.
May well be.
It may well be. It's just not though.
I don't know. As you know, I don't listen to the words. I can't understand what she's saying anyway.
Picking. No, I'm just saying that the music sounds like that. I don't know.
Right.
She didn't really say